I got worms! Well, today I am building a worm composter. We just got some worms from a seed exchange. So they gifted us a bunch of worms, so today I'm taking care of them. And here's what I'm doing. Well, to start out, I got a bucket and I put a bunch of leaves in the bottom. Leaves are necessary for the worms because they need a place to go live and mate and hang out. Then they come and they need a place to eat. These are all the romaine lettuce heads that I had put in water, and these two sprouted up, so they're not quite rotten. The other ones started to go rotten. So these are starting to grow up out of it, so they're re-rooting, which is perfect. I think these were a little bit too late out of it, so they weren't rooting, so I said, hey, I'll feed them to the worms. So the worms will get to live in this stuff and eat it, and they love it. So worms, usually red wigglers are the best ones. Go to wormfinder.com to get your own worms shipped to you, like 2 pounds for $10, or I don't really know what the price is nowadays, but we got gifted these, so I'm going to do something with them. So I'm putting the lettuce around it that's starting to rot so that they can live in it. Then I'm going to put the worms in here, and well, hey, I'll show you. Well, they came in this nice little bag to keep the moisture in. They came wrapped in the paper towels to keep them in moisture. They came in a paper bag to keep them moist. And paper's good too. Paper works like leaves. So, you know, I could take this right here and tuck it in right there. The worms will make a whole worm motel in there, and they'll live in there and they'll mate in there, and then they'll eat and poop. They can't live and mate where they poop because their poop is kind of strong for them. So here we go. There's one worm. Let's see how many they gave us. They gave us some compost, and I don't see that many worms in here. But there's enough, you know. You only need a few. The worms population will double within a few months. Ooh, that smells ripe. So somebody gave us their compost with worms in it, and smells ripe, that's for sure. Well, they put a whole apple in there. So what's the worst thing than finding a worm in your apple? Finding half a worm. To me, I would think that apple should be like more broken up. The worms, it's gonna take a lot for the worms to get through this, you know. So just crush the apple with my hands. And they got plenty of food in here now. They probably don't need to be fed for a few months, and then the population will just keep doubling. So there's another worm. I'm just gonna put all this organic material in there for the worms to grow. And so it's really nice to share your worms. I gave all my worms away when I moved out of my hometown, and let them go on to other people. The worms are the best compost ever. So if you do worm composting, you make this stuff that they call black gold. It's like the best fertilizer ever. And even whole rolls of newspaper soaked are great because they can live in the newspaper. It's like a worm motel. So now we got food, and then we got compost kind of for them to hang out in. So I'm just going to clean up the floor a little bit here and throw some leaves in there. Do this, throw some leaves in there. I'm going to have to put a label on this flower pot because we're in community here. So we want people to know that there's worms in here and not to mess with it. So there you go. There's a worm composter. Cool thing is, I got this tray now that the lettuce is out of it. This has holes in the bottom of the pot so that the juices can flow out. And the juices are really good too. Worm compost tea. So worm composting, it's called vermiculture. You don't want it to get too cold. You don't want it to get too wet. It's still pretty chill here, so I'm just gonna put this bag back over it. Hard to do one-handed, so excuse me. There we go. Just give it a little compost heat tint. And we just got a bunch of cuttings too gifted to us with seeds, and the sprouts are starting to sprout out. So we're sticking them in water. Make sure you keep changing that water out or else it'll go bad, rot. And somebody did the same thing with the rosemary. They cut it off and they put it in some water. And then we have some other things growing. I have no idea what this stuff is. It's not my garden. It's a weed garden, but somebody already had planted their stuff into it. So it's pretty amazing. We're working on the big garden, and this is just the little winter garden. So it's not too much. We just kind of came in a little late at it, and this is kind of leftovers from the people who haven't showed up yet. Grow your own food, you know? Like, it's really easy. Like, you get food, and then you, like, put the seeds in the ground, and then food grows. Wow! The best food you could ever have grows out of the ground. It's amazing. All you got to do is plant the seeds and let it grow. Water and sun. Worm composting is amazing. Look at this. It's starting to rain today. So the garden, we have a garden way down there. It's like over there. There's a city way over there past that mountain. Where's that mountain? Right there. Past that mountain, there's a city way over there. And so we're way deep in the woods. And we're working on this old property, bringing life back to it, and planting food and all sorts of things. Here, check this out. This is a flower pot of miner's lettuce that I need to transplant and spread out because there's a whole lot of miner's lettuce here. We want to put it in the dirt so that it keeps flowing out. And so we're just turning this place into a food forest. Yeah, we're planting seeds everywhere. Here's some of the amazing cactus. Wachuma. It is a San Pedro. Super medicine. So I'm going to be transplanting this one into this cool turtle flower pot I found. This is all sage. This is all a type of culinary sage. So if you need some, let me know. We'll ship it to you. And we also got some of the rosemary there. And yeah, what a beautiful place. We got yurts way out in the woods in different spots for retreats and for ceremony and for people to come stay and join the community. And we got a swimming pool, but it's too cold to uncover it. We don't use bleach. We use hydrogen peroxide, they say. So we've just been here for a couple weeks, and we've just been helping shift and clear up the energy. I think this place was built in the 50s. I think they also said like some presidents had come here. It's just super magical, way out in the woods. I love it so much of being able to be here. There's a bunch of chainsaws, so I've been cutting up wood, and we've been having fires. And we got a compost pile I started over there. And then in the garden, we got a big compost pile down there, and we're just cleaning up all the weeds and getting ready to be planting on the new moon. New moon planting is a great time to be planting, so we're getting ready for it. Community got together yesterday and got a bunch of firewood up to the community house, to the community kitchen. And it's quite beautiful. And got a nice little fire stove going, keeping us warm. I'll do another fire tutorial on how to light a fire and keep this stuff going. So as the smoke comes out of it, that means there's less flame and more smoldering. So you gotta poke it, move it around a little bit, and then if the smoke keeps coming out of here, I got to close the door at least part way so that the air can still come in, but the smoke's not filling up the house, so that you can see the smoke coming out. So I made this little jiggity diggity thing right here out of a tent stake to hold this partially open. Not the best wood stove, but you know, we got it from whoever left it here. So it's pretty cool because this thing has a fan on it, and so it's an old magical heat, and then the fan blows all the heat that goes up, the fan blows it back out into the house. And we keep this on here for moisture. Yeah, keep the moisture in the air. See that? And at one point I put some lavender in there. Don't really drink it, we just let the air do it because the heat of the fireplace dries out the air. So it's good to replace the air